who we are. I know not what thou art. I know that I must be a part. I know when, how, and where we met.
I believe that we can transform dark yesterdays of injustice.
I know who we are.
A powerful commitment. I believe that we can transform dark yesterdays of injustice.
I know
Justice and humanity.
I know.
Let us keep going toward the goal of selfhood,
who we are.
toward the realization of the dream of brotherhood, toward the realization of the dream of understanding and goodwill. Let nobody stop us. I close by quoting once more the man that the young lady quoted.
I know
that magnificent black bard who is now passed on, Langston Hughes. One day he wrote a poem entitled Mother's Son. Mother didn't always have a grammar right, but she uttered words of great symbolic profundity. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stab. It's had tacks in it. Boards torn up places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, I's been a climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you stop now. Don't you sit down on the steps cause you find this kinda hard, but I still going, boy. I still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Well, life for none of us has been a crystal stair. But we must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
I know who we are. I know. I know. I know who we are. I know who we are. I know not what thou art. I know that I must be a part. I know now where we are. I know this I know for yet art flags to wear through these lands of the head. This is all so much godliness for the bond need for the veins. With this or that I provide this either unseen for the tracking of this of course. This is the strange divorce. This is where I seek the compound. I for the vast of the ocean to find the integral frame. This for the winds of the essence came to the nails to the flight for the freedom of the building matters of the army. The temporary liberty for the word to get tight. This spell the bound of the night. This be the blank. Obvious at that point an hour for the breaking of the trance. If you soon that power for this to be the wisdom we find that for the more we need. We're being wrong together for the double blessing for the food of the cloudy weather for this to be hard to grow. For the fire for the brain to the deer for the clubhouse. We come to the side for the deer. And maybe that for the steel for the way for the giving. For the little water and enough for his own time. Good night for somebody to find you. Musicians return to gossip when they have lost. Let us scan for the step to declare how to be expounding in the phase. To God and cut them for the domestic abuse. We still have some divisions of our pride and off the farm for the orchard. I know who we are. I know not what thou art. I know that I must be a part. I know when, how, and where we met. I own to me a secret yet. This I know for yet the art fled for the wear of these lambs of head and distant clawed so much valueness for the finding me for the remains. With it for the that I can find for this to be the unseen for the tracking of the wheels of course. This is the strange divorce. This is the where I seek the compound. I for the vast of the ocean to find the integral frame. This for the whence the essence came for the nils and flight for a suit for the freedom of the building matters of the incorporate through the weave for the or the hit sight. To spell the bound of the knife, for this to be the blank. Obvious at that point in hours for the breaking into the trance. To be soon that power for the this to be the which to find that for the more, for the deep, for the dim, long together, for the third, for the present, for the cloudy weather, for the just to be hard to grow, for the fire, for the friends and the dear, for the perhaps you can cast a sigh for the tear, and maybe that for the steal, for the way, for the giving, a little warning, good enough for the own time. Good night for the sun brighter, for the decline, being it would be morning in 42, you'd be morning before you over for the dew, I can be washing away the life. And the musicians are turned to gossips when they have lost. And the best skin for the step, for the clear hiding, expounding and for phase. And language of gods and comes in for the domestic abuse. Maybe still left in the vision for the leisurely prattling on for the farm, for the orchard, for the pleasant curds and green. You drowning it for flies, shooting in the mire for the whispering and the whimpering face. I'm used for the swing, for the dread, for the washing over day, for the beneath that, for the yep over the wet like over bed, for the bow soul, for the yet to be kindled, for the day, for the weakness and sliding after a week or making worse in progress soon. This is the day for the never, no peace long belongs, no comfort for the ever, the grace to go dawn. Red arm for the washing, chasing the praise bows, and maybe supposedly but his smile. For the over the dirt, for the bird, for the visitation of the very cat. I seen that for the wet, for the skitcher, scared enough for the be reeking of a hurt. Fears inside the five for the parlor, for the unwanted of a guest, for the silent breakfast meals and coming. This would be the morning. Interrupted to say by your anxious looks of the cast for the luring. This would be the more over the lesser. This would be the expected to hear for the sad disaster, the for the stain for the hat, for the loaded lines and one to new, but snap it over the golden throne. The throne was done with this would be heard in misery of life. Call for the wild stretching upon the rack, for they never did that housewife notable for the for the greeting and smile for the raining never washing day. These things and this is well for the child, but they're all for the chalk to me for the man. I find this careful to look at your culture and draw to me then. Just but you come this all caress and obtain, I know with the hope. Usual indulgency for the relic. This is the cost to supper for the separate blood for the pet and the toast. This to the shadow for the beat for the parlor for the fire. For this be the eldest form, for you to be the tender little one for the botching of a harm. And I'm watching for the good for the new with the pens and the Johnny for the room and the guy with the sword. For the less of the indulgent for the intervals and you could find out what the voice that was heard. This is the input for the washing over the bread with the rinse the rain. This is the other life as well. The mind, things for the devil that's set in the air, for the earth, for the air, for the sky, for the ocean that has its bubbles, for the birds and the one that lives in rooms of all the tidings, sent the law for that to flow for the bubbles and the lead for the dream for the Disney, dragonfly for the sports for the woman, for the wolf for the toe, for the woman, for the man, for the discipline, for the perfect listen, one less indulgent, for the hating that the pins and the blind and ancient, the blind for the open spectacle to allow you to be your fault. I'm there for one of the elders.
I know not what thou art. I know that I must be a part. I know when, how, and where we met. I own the secret. This I know for yet the heart fled. For the wear through these lamps and head and this a clog so much valueness for the finding me for the veins. But if for the doubt that I can find, this be the unseen for the tracking of the bliss of course. This is the strange divorce. This is the where I seek the compound. I can vast of the ocean to find an equal frame. This for the ones the essence came to the nils of flight for a suit for the free to get a brother matters of feeling and incorporate through the wheat for the over the hit sight. To spell the bound of the knife for this be the blank. Obvious at that point in hours for the breaking into the trance. To resume that power for the this to be the which we can find that for the more for the deep for the lean along together for the devil for the pleasant for the over the cloudy weather for the just to be hard to grow for the fire for the friends and the dear for the perhaps you can cast a sigh for the tear and maybe that for the steal for the way for the giving a little warning enough for the own time. Good night for this.
I know who we are. I know not what thou art. I know that I must be a part. I know when, how, and where we met. I own the secret. This I know for yet the art fled. For the wear through these lamps and head and this a clog so much valueness for the finding me for the veins. But if for the doubt that I can find, this be the unseen for the tightening of the this of course. This is the strange divorce. This is the where I seek the compound. I can vast in the ocean to find an equal frame. This for the winds of the essence came from the nils of flight for a suit for the free to get a little matters of beyond the incorporate of the weed for the over the hit tight. To spell the bound of the knife for this to be the blank. Obvious at that point in hours for the breaking into the trance. To resume that power for the this to be the ones to find that for the more for the deep for the lean along together for the devil for the pleasant for the cold the cloudy weather for the just to be hard to grow for the fire for the friends and the dear for the perhaps you can cast a sigh for the tear and maybe that for the steal for the way for the giving a little warning enough for the own time. Good night for the sunlight for the climb. Before you over with the dew, I can be washing away the life. The musicians are turned to gossips when they have lost. Give us again for the step to declare how to get spouted in the phase. Language of God and comes in for the domestic abuse. Maybe celebs and division for the leisurely prattling on for the farm for the orchard for the pleasant curds and green. Drowning of the flies, shooting in the mire for the whispering and the face. Coming for the swing for the dread for the washing over day for the beneath that for the yep over the wet like over bed for the bow soul for the yet to be kindled for the day for the weakness and sliding after a week or making worse in progress soon. This is the day for the never no peace long belongs no comfort for the ever the grace to your dawn. Red arm for the washing and chasing the brains of bones. Maybe supposedly weapons inspired. Women for the open and dirt for the verb for the visitation of the very cat. I sing that for the wet for the speaker. Scared enough for the be reeking of a herd. We as inside and five for the parlor for the unwanted of a guest. The silent breakfast meals and coming this will be the morning. Interrupted to say by your anxious looks in the cast for the luring. This will be the roll for the lesser. This will be the expected to hear for the sad disaster. The for the stain for the hat. The for the loaded lines and ones and new. But snap it over the dome. The throne was dome. This is the heredity misery of life. So you've been called for the wild and stretching upon the rack. For the never did that housewife know the hope for the greeting and smile for the rating of a washing day.
Casting spells. Tonight I find the righteous, the road within me. With spells, this be the gym. You're doing a half tale for the begging for the heavens. Open the gates for the refuge to believe your seeks in time to find a cell tonight. For this to be the finish for the loneliness and the eternity to the vinegar for the archangels and the wings frozen fell tonight. I cry for the idols and not to let the broken be converted infidel tonight. Silliness. Let over your mirror convex. Multiply the once of the spell. Free some of the fire from the ice of from the pity of the heavens. You left open for God's the doors of hell tonight. The hard vine for the temple for the statues been smashing up, and no priest and no fine no left to kneel tonight. But the God is less, and the punishment for the still for the judgment day, and the mirror the sinner for this to be the infidel for the execution for the woman at the window for the you can have that for the Jezebel. Is over what I call to the prayer for the faded into the moon, for this to be the rivals for your love, for the invited to, and more the insult for the farewell, for the you can have the sobs in the arms and you can find that tonight. It wouldn't make sense for you to be expelled in one pose in a thigh. Life and all the land. Snow in the desert. Red sunshine is at least 7 minutes old. For this one I took to the sky to see the past. When it's an early morning for this to drive to that. Drove to that sliding door. Fall for the open for the snow for the falling for right now. For the I can find it blind about us. But the white and by the you can have the who would go with blind. Find it blind for the white and behind it. This is the desert plain for the mineral for the extinguishing of the frozen veins into your cactus. And I can find that for the ever to die. We are driving still linked into the world of glass and imagine rat. There I see once. You can imagine how that for the tall things you darken into the color of blue with the rotates and you can find it brighten. Should imagine the sky, relentlessly through the sapphires and passes happening quickly, and hoping they'll for the itself and stretch your arms to the millions of years old. A secret planet for the book and the origin, hurting you can mind of disappoint. Case in point for the not evaporated here for the shores and dissipates now down five and so quickly yet that each and find the stoplight for the herd of the memory for the sky to ride bit up on you and then no. And arms and the dawning for the long for the longing for the you to be begging for the those of the forgotten and I can find that for the airport. Pour for the death that you draw back to the fog. This is the shadow for the fire and find the afternoon for the breeding in the dry season. There's some earth and less loss of forsaken for this to be the remembering of the moment for the forever itself. I lights going on, perhaps
death, for the war, for the death, for the lights, for the dead, for the bloods, for the life, for the mind, them fun, them no think off from time and think, but everything, but the earth that has it lost it all. There's a would lose, I will never lose. I will gain and I for this will be the rain. The pain for the suffering, I will endure. Endure for the disability, or more than the rival for the understanding that my sister or my brother is a part of the Bible weeks that lay. Instructions before leaving this place. And I graduate. Elevated to the place we go tonight. Who else leads and lies here beyond you and casting spells? Tonight I'll find the rapture for the world within you expelled to you. Used to be the gym. We get doing a half tail for the begging for the heavens. And you can find that prison. Let open your gates for the refuge you believe it seeks in time to find a cell tonight. For this will be the vintage of the loneliness and the eternity to the vinegar for the archangels and the wings frozen fell. Tonight I cry for the idols and not to let the broken for the be converted infidel tonight. Ceilings. Let over your mirror convection. Multiply the once in a spell. Free some of the fire from the ice and from the pity of the heavens. You left open. Who else leaves and lies here beyond you and casting a spell? Tonight I find the rapture for the road we're in and you expelled to this to be the gym. You're doing a half tail for the begging for the heavens and you can find that prison. Let open your gates for the refuge you believe you seek in time to find a cell tonight. For this to be the finish of the loneliness and the turn into the vinegar for the archangels and the wings frozen fell. Tonight I cry for the idols and not to let the broken for the be converted infidel tonight. Ceilings. Let over your mirror convection. Multiply the once of the spell. Free some of the fire from the ice and from the pity of the heavens. You left open for God's the doors of hell tonight. The hard vine for the temple for the statues been smashing up, and no priest and no fire, no left to kneel tonight. But the God is less, and the punishment for the still for the judgment days in the mirror, the sinner for this to be the infidel for the execution for the woman at the window for the you can have that for the Jezebel. That hand is up for what I call to the prayer for the faded into the moon for the this to be the rivals for your love for the invited to more the red insult for the farewell for the you can have the sobs in the arms and you can find that tonight.
Is to be ready to enter these doors as they open. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the greatest, has said in a lecture back in 1871 that if a man can write a better book or preach a better sermon or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a meeting. Is to be ready to enter these doors as they open.
history to do it. And just don't set out to do a good Negro job, but do a good job that anybody could do. Don't set out to be just a good Negro doctor, a good Negro lawyer, a good Negro school teacher, a good Negro preacher, a good Negro barber, a beautician, a good Negro skilled laborer. For if you set out to do that, you have already flunked your matriculation exam for entrance into the University of Integration. Set out to do a good job and do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. Falls your lot to be a street sweeper. Sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley. But be the best little scrub on the side of the reel. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are. We already have some noble examples, black men and black women, who demonstrated to us that human nature cannot be cataloged. They in their own lives have walked through long and desolate nights of oppression, and yet they've risen up and plunged against cloud-filled nights of affliction, new and blazing stars of inspiration. So from an old slave cabin of Virginia's hills, Booker T. Washington rose up to be one of America's great leaders.